I remember thinking, they are such a good dancer. I wish I was as good as they are. After I thought those words to myself, I was like, hold on. Why are we doing this? Why are we comparing ourselves like that? Why am I wishing to be somebody else? That is so unfair to that person and to myself. I had to put a hard stop to those thoughts I was having. And I was like, actually, what I really need to do is be so happy for them that they get to share that love with other people and be so happy for them when they do get called out to be filmed in class and I don't, because I don't know what it took for them to get here. Welcome to the Decision to Dance podcast. My name is Priscilla Piper, and I am so excited that you are here today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As dancers, we have so much more opportunity to compare ourselves. One of the really cool parts about being a dancer is that you are able to surround yourself with different types of people every day. However, that can be tricky when you are constantly comparing yourself to other people. And now you add an extra layer with social media. So not only do you have a lot that you're comparing yourself to in person, but now you have social media on top of that, which honestly could probably be a whole separate conversation in itself. And in addition to that, as a dancer, you add the mirror as an element as well. So not only are you looking at these people up front and maybe constantly assessing and comparing, but you have the mirror in front of you as well. So you are directly, most likely, comparing yourself to everyone around you. And you're able to see yourself physically. Whereas if you were just looking at people, you would do that. But now you have a mirror so you can see yourself in comparison to everybody else. So that is why comparison, I think, can be a major challenge as a dancer. And that is why I want to speak on it. So I think we first have to acknowledge just the absolute privilege that we have to be able to surround ourselves with so many different people. That is, in my opinion, such a great part about being a dancer and the community that you're able to be a part of. It's such a great thing. But it can be tricky when you start to compare yourself constantly to other people. And I will say, I think comparison on its own is probably like a survival tactic. I think it's there for a reason. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we're doing it on purpose. Well, subconsciously or not, I think we're constantly evaluating ourselves in comparison to our surroundings, thinking to ourselves, are we safe? Do I fit in here? If not, what do I need to do differently to fit in? Or is this a situation that I don't want to be a part of? I think our brains are naturally constantly asking ourselves those questions so that we feel comfortable in our environment because it really is a safety thing at the end of the day, whether you're thinking about that or not. And I did zero research on that. I was typing up my notes and then I was like, you know what, let me just do a quick Google search. And I was like, why do we compare ourselves? And it is exactly that. It was like safety and self-protection that came up. So we can't judge ourselves for comparing. That's actually unfair for us to do. It's a natural instinct that we have. And it can get tricky as dancers when we are in environments where there's constant evaluations happening. So it's there for a purpose, but we can definitely overstep and it can overtake us. And that's where we really need to dive deep a little bit further. And I also want to mention that it's not just dancers that are dealing with this. I've thought about what is a similar comparison to this that is outside of dance. And I've thought about the multitude of different group exercise classes I've been in over the course of my life, and there is not always, but often a sense of comparison happening within those classes. And I've been in classes where you'll be on the treadmill and you can physically see the person next to you looking over and comparing their time and their pace to yours for them to know, okay, I'm okay here. I'm not like falling behind or whatever it is that they're thinking. I've also been in boxing classes where you can just feel the person over your shoulder kind of like looking and they're like, how hard are they punching that bag? Because I'm going to go a little harder, you know? And I think there's a healthy sense of competition that can come with that. You know, it can be exciting. Like, oh, they're punching the bag harder than I am, so I'm going to go even faster. And it motivates you to keep going and go a little harder and faster compared to if you didn't have that situation where you didn't have somebody next to you. So there's definitely so many pros to this. On the flip side, it can get a little unhealthy and a little obsessive and kind of tear you down if you let it, instead of it being, oh, okay, we're competing against each other. Like who's hitting faster? Who's hitting more? And instead, if you're thinking, oh my God, they're comparing themselves to me, and I can feel them looking over my shoulder, and now they're punching harder. And now I don't want to be here because I don't want anyone to look at me and try to be better than me. Oh, that's tough. That is tough. And I bet you we have all thought that at one point in time. And I think that I wanted to provide that example to show that it's obviously not just dancers dealing with this. We all deal with this in all parts of our lives where we are surrounded by people. It's natural, it's human, it's going to come up. So it's such a normal thing that we deal with day to day, dancer or not. And so let's talk about what we can do to kind of change our narrative and our perspective to come out on the other side of it feeling empowered and happy and healthy and not feeling so down about ourselves. So when I think it was a year or two after I had returned to dance. I don't remember the timeline, but I was in a class and I remember watching a dancer, and I'm pretty sure that dancer got called out to be filmed, if I remember correctly. I remember thinking, they are such a good dancer. I wish I was as good as they are. And I wish that was me. And I remember after I thought those words to myself, I was like, hold on. Why are we doing this? Why are we comparing ourselves like that? Why am I wishing to be somebody else? That is so unfair to that person and to myself. What is the point of that? And so I had to put a hard stop to those thoughts I was having. And I was like, actually, what I really need to do is be so happy for them. Be so happy for them that they are a great dancer, that they get to share that love with other people, and be so happy for them when they do get called out to be filmed in class and I don't. Because, first of all, I don't know what they've been through. I don't know not only the work that they put in, but I don't know what life they've experienced. I don't know what challenges they have faced. I don't know what it took for them to get here. So why am I going to compare myself to them? That's not fair. I don't know what that person has been through that day, that week, that year. And even if I know that person, I might know part of their story, but I'm not going to know all of it. So that's not really okay for me to sit there and be like, I wish I was them, because I actually should be very happy for them and cheer them on and learn from them. If they're a great dancer, what can I take away from them that they're doing that I potentially am not doing? How can I get better? How can I learn from this great dancer in front of me? So those are the thoughts I had to tell myself, to be like, whoa, reality check here. This constant one-on-one direct comparison has got to stop because I don't know them. And if I know them, I don't know their whole story. So I need to acknowledge that and celebrate them. And it's just not my time yet. Just because I didn't get called out in class doesn't mean my time won't come. And that is actually a separate conversation about why we care so much about getting called out in class. But it's just not my time yet. That's what I told myself in that class. It's just not my time yet. I've got to put in a little bit more time, more effort. I need to have some more learning experiences. It's just not my time. And I don't know when that time will come, and maybe it doesn't, but I think it can look in different ways than just getting called out in class. Also, another part of that is too, when we are talking about direct comparisons, and if we are talking about getting called out in class or not getting called out in class and you're watching other people dance, many of the times this is not an apples to apples comparison because we could be in class and the person that gets called out, that could be their best style. And this could be your worst one. So, how is that fair for you to be like, I wish I got called out, but I didn't, and compare yourself to the person that did? That's just, it's not fair. This whole thing is not an apple to apple comparison at all. We're all so different in our ages and our backgrounds and our dance experiences. Everybody is so different, but it can be so easy in that moment to feel like we're all on the same playing field and think, oh, they got called out and I didn't. I must suck. Can't tell you the number of times I did that myself. A lot. A lot. But it's not a direct comparison. It's so unfair for us as the students, as the dancers, to do that to ourselves. And I'm not going to comment on auditioning because that is not my experience, but I can imagine that having that perspective can be helpful. And going back to the innate part of this, the intuitive part of comparing yourself to other people, I think that can actually come in handy. If you are evaluating your environment, if you're evaluating yourself in comparison to other people, you're thinking about how you fit in, how you look, how things are going on, what's working, what's not working, what are they doing that you're not doing. You can pick up like 10 observations and put it in your back pocket for the next time that you go to class, or maybe there are things that you notice that you need to work on outside of class, what have you. I think constantly doing that is healthy and good. I'm always doing that. I'm always thinking about other people, and I'm just trying to actually learn from everybody. I'm trying to learn what are they doing that's working and how could I use that as well, or how could I do something similar, whatever the situation may be. It's not a bad thing to compare. I think it's a very useful tool. So when you are getting stuck in that direct comparison, that's where it really can get tough and where it feels like you need to draw the line and think about the importance of giving that positive energy to other people in class. And I think when you're watching other people, whether it's getting filmed or not, and it's just groups, giving that positive energy, your body language says so much. I don't think you have to be the loud person in the room. I don't think you necessarily have to be cheering and clapping, especially if that's not you. I wouldn't fake it if that doesn't feel like it's you. I'm also not the loudest one in the room, but you're gonna know that I'm paying attention and listening and wanting the best for you. And you do sometimes you're running to your bag to grab water or whatever, and that's totally fine. But I would just say overall, giving that energy to the other dancers says a lot. And something that comes to mind is when I was at dance competitions as a kid, my mom taught me the importance of always cheering for other studios and other dancers, even if I didn't know them, because often other studios and other dancers wouldn't have the same support that we did. So it's important that we give that support to them. And that was something that I kind of didn't really think much about until recently. And I was like, I am so glad my mom instilled that in me. I never really gave thought to why I tend to be pretty supportive of other dancers in class, and then recently I was like, "Oh, like, my mom literally taught me to be that way." So, it's so important, and I think it gives back, and it doesn't mean that you're not still doing your internal work on the side of the class when other people are dancing, but I think still giving that energy says a lot. So I think with this, you can leave class feeling a bit happier and more fulfilled, especially if class did not go as well for you. And you have to keep in mind too, if this was just a not good class and you're like, nothing about this was good, then you don't need to go back. But 9 times out of 10, you can take some really great stuff away from class, and at the end of the day, you paid for it. So you might as well get something out of it, even if it didn't go well, right? I think doing that can help you leave feeling a little bit happier and a little bit more grateful for the opportunity to dance because really, there are so many people that aren't able to take a dance class. And every time I take class, I'm so happy, I'm so thankful, and so many people aren't able to do that. So we have to, I think, start class and end class with reminding ourselves of that as well, because it's really just such a wonderful opportunity that we are able to be a part of. And I remember I had a moment in class too when I was back to dance and I thought to myself how I would pay money to sit and watch a dance class. So to be able to take class was just icing on the cake. It was just a priceless feeling and I was just had a feeling come over of just being so grateful and so happy even though I don't think I was doing too great in that class if I recall. I don't remember that class going that great for me, but just having the opportunity to dance is it means so much to me and we can take it for granted for sure. So I really try to remind myself of that as well. I think it can be really helpful if you try to put yourself in someone else's shoes, in your fellow dancers' shoes, if you put yourself in the shoes of somebody else that looks up to you, and this could be somebody that you know looks up to you or somebody that you don't know, because I bet you there is somebody out there that is looking up to you, whether you realize it or not. Don't fight me on that one because I believe it. I just know there's some people thinking, well, there's nobody that looks up to me. That's just because you don't know of somebody right now. That's just because they haven't told you. So what are those people thinking? They could be thinking of how you're such a great dancer and how you show up to class with such poise and the commitment. There's just, all these things that could be going through their heads. So think about that as well when you are comparing yourself to the best people in class when it's not fair for you to constantly be doing that direct comparison. So use that to your advantage and don't forget to continually assess, evaluate. What can you do better? What can you do differently? What are you doing well that you should keep doing? And don't forget to leave class feeling grateful, feeling appreciative, feeling fulfilled. And I know that's tough if you leave not feeling that way. You can't force that at all. And I've been there so many times. Okay, I've been there so many times. But now I have the perspective of remembering how lucky we are to do this. So, yeah, if class didn't go well for me and it was the worst class of my life, it probably wasn't the worst class of your life, right? We are all a little dramatic, okay? As dancers, we're pretty dramatic, okay? We are. I don't care what people say. We are. Um, and that's okay. I'm one of them. It probably wasn't the worst class of your life, but there's so much good in that. The sense that we were even able to have that opportunity, that learning opportunity. What could we have learned from that experience so that we could make better decisions for next time? And remember, yeah, I've got 20 things I need to work on here, right? I'm not at my peak yet. So what can I do? What have I observed? What have I learned from the people around me that I can take in my back pocket and try and practice for next time? It took some time for me to have those realizations. There's no way I could have done this podcast year one, year two, year three. I mean, there's a reason why I'm doing it now because the experiences I had early on and even recently, where I'm able to look back and have different perspective, there's just so much more awareness that I have now that I did not have in the beginning, which is why I'm wanting to share my experiences and what I've learned and what I've applied and what has worked for me. Because if I was able to hear this from somebody else early on, I think my my perspective and the tools that I utilized could have really helped me even more in the beginning rather than me taking some time to get there. As a new podcast, I am wanting to make this better and better as much as I can. I'm starting with what I know and what I think is good in the beginning, but of course, I totally want people's feedback. I think the dancer in me, very much my whole life, I have valued feedback, and it's not always easy to hear and it's not always easy to implement. You don't want to hear about the things that you're not doing very well, but I very much value it. And so, if any of you have any opinions or thoughts about what this podcast entailed and what you think could be better for next time, please let me know. I will definitely take it into consideration. And again, I appreciate you all for being here. It means so much. I hope, if anything, this was just a good listen, but I hope you are able to apply some of the things that I said and let me know if this perspective and these little tiny tools can help you or do help you the next time you're in class or the next time you're in a situation where you feel like you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. So, thank you so much for listening again. I appreciate you all so much, and I'm looking forward to the next episode.